we're recording this if it's okay with you, but basically we have our crypto over coffee every Tuesday here in our store, and I wanted to present them what you guys are doing. We're also going to put this in our social media and also share it with our mailing list. But I wanted to just have you introduce yourself and talk about what you guys are doing at Self Directed IRA, and then just see how we can help you guys gain more clients and also share your knowledge. So, but I'll give you the floor here. Matt, are you still there? Let me see. Matt, can you hear? All right. Well, while he's trying to figure this out, I wanted to kind of share something with you guys. So we got some news that we're doing here at Crypto World. In the next 30 days, we're going to do what's called a crowdfunding campaign. We've been talking with a group called WeFunder, and basically we're going to do it's called Regulation CF, and we can raise up to $5 million, and that allows us to tap into both a folks that are both accredited and non-accredited, but the goal is to be able to take to the cap of 5 million. And the reason we finally decided to do that is we are going to set up Crypto World as staking nodes. Currently, there's about $600 billion that's being staked, and even if we were to capture 1% of that, that's $6 billion being staked, and if we are the average fee is about 2%. So 6 billion, 2%, that equals to about $120 million that we could capture if we only capture 1% of the market. So the goal is to be able to set up the staking nodes all over the U.S. as we open more locations. The nodes then would help pay for keeping the store sustainable, and open, and also help with our mission of helping educate the community. So that's something that nobody's doing. I mean, setting up these stores, nobody's doing right now. So we're taking it, step up. I think it's doable for us to be able to raise that, because talking to some folks that I've talked to bankers and and other investors, and I haven't heard anything negative. The only thing that people have mentioned is that maybe the security aspect. So that's something we're talking through. We have a gentleman out of San Antonio that's flying in, and he's part of the team. His name's Rudy, but he is a cybersecurity expert, and he worked for the Navy for 14 years. And also, he's got a program that the Space Force is using. So this guy knows his stuff. He's also won the Wyoming Hackathon. So he's coming in this Friday. And if you guys want to stop by Friday to meet him, talk to him, the Z Brothers are going to be interested. But he's going to be handling the security side of things. We also opened up a nonprofit. It's called Crypto Without Borders. And the purpose of the nonprofit is to get some funding from, there's so much money out there with Uniswap Foundation, Crypto.com Foundation, Ethereum Foundation, things like that, to help with the education side. So the goal is to get those grants and then use those grants to help pay for the classes that we offer here at the store. So we're hoping that those grants we then offer free classes to folks, just to help with our mission. So a lot of exciting things that we're doing with Crypto World, and the only thing we ask is once we get the campaign going, the We Funder campaign, is just to share it with folks that want to be part of it. So the current valuation is going to be, we're going to probably give up 10% at a 50 million valuation to raise $5 million, which is a big number, I know, but knowing the potential of what Crypto World can do, I think we're able to, get this out and do well for anybody that wants to be a part of it. So hopefully Duffy is coming on here with Self Directed IRA, but I'm not sure. So stay tuned on that. But if you guys have questions, just feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I can see what's coming until 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. So we're starting to get it going now.
Local states or cities, we're just listening to the same thing with like crypto staking. You have like no taxes, it's all paid by the staking board.
Well, it's the same thing with any investment. They could do it, just don't do it.
Okay.
You're crazy. I'm blessed too.
So it's 50-50 on the surcharge. So you would have to, but the hard one.
What is it they do? What happened?
Two of them like.
What do you mean?
As far as your.
Oh, the taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the pork, like a lot of sometimes that is built with all the preservatives in there.
All this stuff. That's how much money.
Yeah. Well, beef's better for you than
We have had kids, and they're all they're hot, something.
Well, 6 of them.
We didn't get, we got payments. He doesn't even want to get that.
why do
Sweet.
we get meat from another tribe farm. Their faces, we get some steaks too, and their steaks compared to Rich's. Rich has it better.
There's been all this short stuff. I mean, it's good, it cracks me up. I don't see where it's been in St. Peter's.
Hey, Matt, that's Crypto World.
Oh, sorry, but we can't say anything because we all know.
No, if somebody just something about your products.
Okay? Okay.
Yeah, she makes 10 minutes ago. So we have to make sure. We have to share this, on Zoom. So maybe this is what-
Yeah, just throw all that money away.
Stopped completely. She had one of those.
It's ready to go. I just,
Oh my God, she would make turtles with me there for me. I was making shit. Right? Oh, yeah. I got all the turtles out of the place. You know, I would every time she puts them on. Oh, yeah, she's still around. She's kind of like, you know, right? Oh.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, well, I'm like, oh, I was thinking, oh my God. So I would just sit there and I would look at it every day.
Yeah, I forget, I started, I got to the point where I turn it off.
Why do you, somebody feed you that kind of stuff?
I just
Right,
have
it's
one
amazing.
color right now.
Here, it's like, I don't know, I'll just sit here
I'm
and
gonna try it with one color and make sure it links up in colors. You spend all that money, and more of that money is stupid. Although I've set 4 of them on it, my memory, so that's the reason I turn one on, it'll kind of, I've set it back on. It's easy, but.
Somebody tell a joke.
XRP.
Is that joke only
I
funny
love
in this
you
room, or
guys.
does that apply other places?
I don't know. Maybe the price will go down so I can buy more.
That's your love.
Yes.
It's crazy.
All like my
I always am looking for, my dad would crazy, to encourage him. I got it.
So is this so the borders without crypto? Is that like the crypto without borders? Other than as a mechanism in order to start providing education for people that are interested in getting into crypto, but is there any way that you guys are advocating for like other countries or like to get involved in crypto, or
Should we start here first?
Other countries?
But yeah, is there like a what borders are you trying to get across?
It just sounded nice.
Yeah, yeah, it just sounded really nice.
It's like the political, or what's the one thing? It's like food pantries without borders or something like
Yeah.
that. Or,
Doctors Without Borders.
the doctors without.
Yeah, I think we took this from them. Oh, somebody talking?
But like, are you guys gonna send people to like Somalia, get them to accept Ethereum as like their currency of?
Afghanistan.
Well, Afghanistan. I've got Afghanistan already.
We're sending you to Afghanistan.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you guys could do that, I'll take the money. I'll advocate for any cryptocurrency of choice in whatever country you want me to go to. I'll go to Yemen. I'll go to North Korea.
Yeah, I'm not sure you fit in up there, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
You
actually,
wouldn't blend in too well.
your parents are from Africa, you said, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my dad's from Tunisia. Speak a little bit of Arabic.
Right in.
I'll learn all the Arabic I need if you need to send me somewhere in the Middle East. Like
I'll learn Korean.
I'll learn Korean. I'll learn North Korean.
Yeah, you guys would be like with a Chevy Chase movie with him and
Spies like
Ackroyd.
us,
Yeah, yeah, like that. We're all through Russia and shit.
we're gonna cut off a finger.
Yeah.
Yours.
Come in with your big burly jackets.
Yeah, exactly.
Bear suits.
Smuggling
Now
all
I would
the-
watch that.
You'd watch that?
Yeah, I would. I'd finance that movie. You guys would be the rock stars.
Based off a true story.
Yeah, it's based off a true story. How we actually got caught smuggling in Bitcoin into Somalia. I guess.
It's not about the money.
Yeah, it's not about the money. It's about sending a message. We'll do it for free.
So what's your guys' opinion on the whole banking, privacy, Canadian stuff?
Well, you're talking about
Crowdfunding,
Um,
lockdown.
I think it's very interesting that they've had pretty lax like cryptocurrency laws just until it started becoming an issue for them. It just goes to show you that they really do need to control the currency in order for them to actually have any real like control.
Yeah.
And so I think countries in general are going to wake up to that reality and take a side.
It's a perfect analogy. I mean, it's going on right now.
Yeah. But I think they probably won't be able to stop most of it. They're just sort of putting it on the books so that they can, have it in place that if they ever wanted to, they could utilize it as a means of
Yeah.
stopping
Before you
it.
can go to Canada, or if you already live in Canada, you can get like crypto without going to a KYC exchange. I think they just announced that's not going to be possible anymore. Before you can
I was reading where a lot of like young Chinese were parking a lot of their capital in Canada too. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, some people like to.
It's like they don't have like really strong bank privacy laws there in Canada, but they had them better than like the United States or the other Commonwealth places. So I'm just assuming that they totally shot themselves in the foot there. If that was a big portion of the Canadian market, I don't know. Is it their financial sector?
I wouldn't know. But people said it's an increasing amount of like influence in general with like China and Canada, like on the government level. So people say in general, like especially with the media, the fact that people are now praising China's authoritarian as like a way to work, especially with dealing with COVID, as ways to start pressuring other governments to also take advantage of it. Like, oh, lockdowns are really great, locking down financial institutions, look how prosperous we are, because that's like a public image. At least they try to perpetuate that. And so other governments start to adopt more of their policies because it looks like it works. At least, depending on how well researched you are, you might know that's actually not very true. But yeah, so I guess it's like a worry, like increased authoritarianism to deal with these kind of things.
But now, if you're asking about like next steps, we got to talk to someone else about that.
Yeah, I did see this.
I want to know what that means.
He knows what I'm talking about.
No, I think it'll drive people to because the Canadian government identified 34 wallets with like $1.4 million in them or something like that. And this was after, GoFundMe got shut down, and then Gibson Go got shut down. And so they're getting progressively more invasive, and the protesters had to get progressively more resourceful in how they invaded that. So I think it'll just drive people to
More
adopt better security measures and use it as is originally intended, peer-to-peer, where you can't have somebody getting in the way.
That's the thing is that
Some of those wallets were still working, they didn't identify how.
But how do you trust the hardware wallet companies that are making the hardware?
That's the thing is you don't.
You don't. You really can't trust anything or anyone, as we've learned in the cybersecurity.
Well, yeah.
Paper wallets are the way.
You can do paper wallets. You can memorize your phrase, that sort of thing. There's ways of doing it, but ultimately, it's not that bad of a deal to utilize a hardware wallet because they might be compromised if you have physical access to it, but you eliminate the risk of having it be remotely, tampered with.
Well,
I will say, depending on how far along it goes,
Well, yeah,
if the government were to say, come to your door and take your devices,
We're just gonna
Raiders of
talk.
Just
talk.
Karaoke.
Like the bit next time.
Flying to the moon,
Just talk crypto.
we dance among the stars. Yeah.
Show us some boobs.
Gotta get up on the table.
I think I'm on the table.
I don't know what this means.
Yeah, all the tables got warped due to.
We'll move the donuts.
Well, this is supposed to be unrecorded.
It's
off the book.
It's off the book?
Delete it, but, well,
This is being
self-directed IRA, I guess.
We were just talking about how we can't trust anyone or anything.
Yeah, good one.
But
I finish with my mouth shut.
right. So the thing is that with any sort of information, you could theorize any mechanism of actually.
We're right here.
No mic. Oh, you're good.
I think you wanted to pick up on the computer. Oh, my bad. Maybe this is my.
Hi.
All right.
Oh, hey. How are you?
How you
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
sorry about the confusion there. Let me see
Good to
here.
see you.
All right, so I think we're getting ready. We're ready for you guys to get started. So I know we're running a little bit late, but that's okay. So if you guys kind of want to talk about what you guys do with self-directed IRA, and then if folks here in the crowd and also on Zoom want to ask questions, we can do that.
Yeah, sure. And excuse me. And then so you're just getting set up right now. You're going to be a few more minutes, and then Aaron's going to hop on as well.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay. Brilliant. All right. So you're going to be a few more minutes, correct?
We're ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we're ready to go. So.
Okay. I didn't there wasn't any sort of, all we got was an email, like there wasn't like a structure to things or anything like that. You just want us to talk about crypto in an IRA, right?
Yeah,
And that,
yeah.
what that
Exactly.
okay, let me shut all right, to make sure I'm on the right camera. So tell me a little bit, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
So talk a little bit about what you've got going on today at Crypto World.
Yeah, so every Tuesday we have crypto over coffee, and basically we have like-minded individuals that come here every Tuesday. We normally have a topic that we talk about, and today it's on IRAs. Last week, I think we talked a little bit about like some tax strategies and state. So anything really that could be helpful to folks that come here to our events.
Yeah. Well, I think that. So do you have? Gosh, I don't know how to go ahead and if you give me like a presenter control as well, I can show like the page on having crypto in an IRA and how that works.
See how I can make you the presenter. Let's see. Make you the host. Does that sound good?
Yep. All right. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so I can share my screen. Let's see what I can share from that. If it'll let me do. Hang on. Desktop. Hang on. Just go to this. Hang on. Hopefully, can you just see like a URL?
Yeah, we can see your whole screen.
You can see the whole screen. Can you see? Do you see here where I'm on like directedira.com?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just want to make sure you can see what I've got here. So I'm going to go. So this is like our main hub, and then I'll explain. So first of all, I'm Gemini Trading and I'm Crypto Business Development Officer at Directed IRA, and the focus here is about being able to have tax-free savings in your IRA. And I know that when I first sort of came into the space, like, what are these different types of IRAs? Because you have traditional and you have Roth. And this was something that confused me for a long time. But with a Roth IRA, so long as you don't take out your crypto early, which means before 59 and a half years old, or if you haven't held it off, if you're older than 59 and a half years old and you hold it less than 5 years, then it would become a taxable event with a penalty. But otherwise, if you just keep that crypto, then you will not be taxed on any gains that you have. So that is what happens when you have a crypto Roth IRA. Let me just go here to crypto. And so this is, I'll talk in a moment about what this specific product is, how that works. And then a traditional IRA, which is different from this here. This is where one can self-direct for people who are into the DeFi, the mining, the staking, NFTs, and they want more freedom. There is more of a setup to that process. One can do it as a crypto solo 401k. One can do, again, an LLC checkbook control structure. But again, that's sort of going into more, like, that's a step further along. What Matt here created, Matt Sorensen, who's the CEO of Directed IRA, along with the team here, Mark Jacob as well, who you saw and met at Crypto Tax Summit, was to come up with a way where it would be easy to get an account set up. So with that crypto Roth IRA, let me just go back a step here to explain this. We are the custodian. We act as your passive custodian. We do not give you investment advice. We can't tell you, like, hey, go get Bitcoin, Terra Luna, Ethereum in your portfolio. And like that's not our role. We're not brokers. So we act as your passive custodian. When you go and set your account up, then you can trade however you like. And it's pretty quick setup. And I'll walk you through in a moment how this works. But from the point your account is set up and funded, either is a new contribution, and that is with earned income, or that is with a rollover, say from a traditional IRA or from a solo 401k, or from another custodian, that way one has an IRA. Then, once you have your account funded, then, like I said, you can trade as you like. So excuse me, my throat a little bit. I had like a crazy last week. My son, bless him, he never gets sick, and he got ill, and so it was a wild week. So I had to just like pace myself, slow down a little bit here. Oh, hang on a sec. Let's admit Aaron here. Okay, so Aaron's hopping on as well now. So this process here of once you have your crypto Roth IRA with Directed IRA, it's like I said, from the point that the funds come into your account, then our investment team moves your funds over onto the Gemini exchange, and you can trade as you please within Gemini Active Trader. So typically that process happens within a week from the point you say, I want my crypto Roth IRA, you're trading in it. And you can trade as much as you like. Every time that you trade, you are not taxed on it. For someone, say, for example, maybe who swing trades or day trades, those short-term capital gains taxes can go as high as 37%. But again, so long as you're doing it in that crypto Roth IRA and you are not creating a penalty, you're not going to be paying tax on that. So, Aaron, I'm just going through the basics here. Aaron Haldeman, for everyone at Crypto for Coffee and Crypto World, this is our COO, who is like the fuel, the engine behind everything here. Aaron, do you want to hop in here? I was just starting to explain.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. This is just one of many ways that people can get, exposure into crypto with a retirement account. What I think is cool is, yes, there's the Roth, but there's also all these different types of retirement accounts too that people can do. If you just click on, you just scroll down on that page. You scroll down on that page there. You can see all the, keep going. And yeah, keep going right there. So you can see all the different kinds of accounts. Not everybody has a Roth ready to go. You most certainly can always create one and make a new contribution, although you're limited to certain amounts based on age income, whether you can contribute directly into a Roth or have to do a conversion with, traditional tax deferred dollars, if you will. A lot of times people, Jeff, have an old retirement, an old employer plan, right? They spend a lot of years maybe working in corporate America, their day job. Maybe they're an engineer, like my father. He was an engineer for Boeing for 25 years. He had a nice, sizable 401k, and when he finally retired, actually he left the company and then went to Raytheon. And the second that happened was kind of a special triggering event where they could access those funds. They were no longer tied up, having to be just using that employer plan. With Boeing, administering the 401k. And so when he decided, left to another firm, Raytheon, which is down in Tucson, Arizona, he had access to those funds and he could take some of that money and put it into a self-directed IRA and invest in crypto. So a lot of people, may have a health savings account. They may have what's called a covered educational savings account, which is different than a 529 plan. Those cannot be self-directed. Those are specific college plans. If you have a solo 401k, which is, different than your 401k at an employer, but a solo K is cool. If you're a small business owner and you have no full-time employees other than yourself and a spouse. Now you could have some part-timers, you could have some independent contractors and still qualify for the solo K. But what's cool about that is you can get a lot more money each year into that. It's based on 25% of your income that you're making out of that business if you're a corporation, and then 20% if you're self-employed. There's some other cool accounts too, like we have a lot of people that do a kids Roth account. So if children 18 and younger, now the tricky part on that is, and we kind of found this out a little bit trial and error, because there wasn't a lot of people doing this early on with various exchanges, but whether it's Gemini or Coinbase or Kraken, you actually have to go through and do the KYC and the creation of the account with the guardian's information. A lot of people mess that up. So like you get onto the exchange, right? And they're like putting in, little Sally's information. She's like 6 years old and she's trying to get this, crypto account going, and she's going to start trading on one of the exchanges. And they're like, whoa, like obviously this isn't, this can't work. So you can't do that. So, but the guardian is the one who sets up the information, creates the account. But with the actual custodian being, directed IRA, it's in the name of that child's name, and the parents, are the guardians of that minor account. And you can go ahead and then, have a trading account with an exchange. Now, I don't know if the exchanges allow that for non-institutional type accounts, because you have to remember we have a certain institutional account as a financial institution, with various exchanges, and it allows us to create those types of structures. So I don't know if they allow you doing that just if you want to go set it up for your kid and it's not a retirement based account. So there's lots of, a lot of people the other day, there's a gentleman set up a couple accounts, when we have family members that pass on and they had an IRA, that then becomes an inherited IRA. And so you enjoy the same tax, benefits, tax sheltering that, your parents were receiving. And so those are called inherited IRAs, and you can absolutely do one of those. So everything that you see up on the screen right now, you can do, have a, 24/7, 365 days a year trading access on Gemini's exchange. We take our security measures and protocols very seriously. People, it's no secret. There's other news and stuff. When people access various accounts, and what I'll say to that without going into a ton of detail is not everybody's structure is the same, but we do follow everything as outlined by Gemini to adhere to their strict protocols so that none of our clients would be exposed by anything of our doing. So we don't have various master API keys as an institution or anything out there. Just we want to make sure everything's all good. So don't want to go into too much detail on that. There's lots of information scouring the web, but I will say our accounts, our clients have been great. We continue to service them and provide a great value add to them. Another strategy though, Jeff, if I could just give another strategy that I think is important, and it's what's called setting up your own institutional account. So you can set up your own what would be called a checkbook IRA LLC, where the IRA, the retirement account, is the member of the LLC, and you can act as manager of it. Okay, it's totally an awesome strategy that you can use. And when you have that, because you have an LLC that you've now created, you can go apply for your own institutional account on whatever exchange in the United States that you want to do, and have full on trader access. And there's a few nuances though that Matt Sorensen, CEO of Directed IRA, wrote a chapter back in 2017 in the Self Directed IRA handbook on cryptocurrency. You just pick it up. Yeah, there you go. You can pick it up on Amazon or on our site. We'll send you one for free if you're interested in learning more about retirement accounts. But what's cool on that strategy is, you have your own LLC bank account too, that the retirement account has funded. Okay, so let's say you had an IRA with a couple $100,000. Maybe, again, let's just use the case, you're at Boeing. Let's say you got a couple $1 million, but you want to get some crypto exposure. Like, hey, I'm just going to carve off a little sliver here, maybe $200,000-300,000, and I'm going to, have that be in crypto. So I'm going to move it to a self-directed IRA. So now I got $300,000 in that self-directed IRA. Then we, as the custodian of the IRA, send money to that LLC bank account, and that's how you now have access to it, and that's why it's referred to as a checkbook IRA LLC. So now you can send the funds to the exchange and get some crypto exposure. One thing to note though, if you're going to move, take charge and move to cold storage and have your own ledger, whether you're using a Trezor or a Nano ledger, or I think Arculus came out with one that's pretty cool as well. But if you're going to hold those private keys, that LLC needs to buy that ledger. So there, it's everything that's being documented that the LLC is doing. Otherwise, if you're personally doing it, that would be a prohibited transaction, because you as an individual are a disqualified person to your retirement account. So I know it's a little bit of a nuance. I know, on the flip side, you're like, well, aren't I, acting as an individual on behalf of the LLC? Well, of course you are. You can be manager of it, or your retirement account is the one that is the member and the driving force there. And so you can't be personally benefiting from that or taking action personally. It has to all be tied to that LLC again, with the IRA as the member of it. So, the LLC is creating the exchange. The LLC would be buying, a cold storage wallet. And then, it opens up to a ton of other strategies you can do, like, staking, mining, and, yield farming. What we don't know, and there is some case case law that's coming out, one in particular that was just on staking. But we don't know if you would be subject to what's called unrelated business income tax, UBIT. That's a type of tax in a retirement account that's triggered when you have, when you have business related activity, unrelated business activity to that retirement account. So think about it as operational type activity.
Ordinary income, right? Consider ordinary income if you're mining.
Yeah, it could be. We published, Matt Sorensen's published an article on mining that, is taking kind of the standpoint of that could be, considered triggering UBIT tax. But again, there's a lot of things. This is new, right? We're in a little bit uncharted territory. Same goes for NFTs. One could consider those collectible art, and that in a retirement account, art collections are a prohibited transaction. So, art collectibles, investing into insurance, company with insurance or life insurance policies. Those are certain things that are prohibited by the IRS, not by us, but by the IRS, that is a disqualified, prohibited transaction for a retirement account. So we don't know. There's a lot of stuff. So, are we saying don't do it? Well, no, we're not saying that, but we are, taking some caution and, having an open conversation about what could happen, what could be possible in the future. And even if it's possible in the future, is it retroactive? So, right, you've done all these things, and they come back and, the argument's like, oh, well, they can't, they couldn't do that. Well, they could, who's to say that they, it could pass or kind of do whatever. So the other institutional account is that solo K. So that solo 401k, could qualify as an institutional account as well. And there is an LLC, because there is an operating business that adopts a 401k plan. So that's how the solo K works there. And that can qualify as an institutional account to set up as well. So you have a couple different strategies, right? You can do your own institutional account with a checkbook IRA LLC. You could do a solo 401k. Kind of the benefits to those are, you have a lot more flexibility, control. But I will say this: you're at the mercy for getting approved, that institutional account approved by an exchange. I heard a lot of times, people on Coinbase, it's been, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months even. Gemini the same, Kraken the same. I heard some other kind of smaller exchanges like Fdic or BlockFi, they've approved them quicker, but that they don't have necessarily 100 plus cryptos, like a Kraken, a Coinbase. I think Gemini's right up there too. So anyways, if you want kind of like the easy, quick and dirty button to like get going now, in like a week and a half or so, you can do, a trading account with Gemini that we offer. If you are wanting to, roll the dice and see about getting your own institutional account, there's a couple steps, right? You got to do a checkbook IRA LLC. You got to do a solo 401k, and then you have to apply for an institutional account. So there could be a lot more. There's a lot more time involved with that, and just plan on, at least a few months in doing that. And so we see a lot of people, Jeff, what they do is they'll just set up 2 accounts. They'll get going with like a checkbook IRA LLC or a solo K, but they also go ahead and open up a crypto IRA by directed IRA as well. And then I get the question asked a lot, okay, well, now that I finally got approved, for my own institutional account, what should I do with the crypto IRA that I have a directed IRA? And what we say is like, we'll just want to have both. Just keep them both. We're not moving. We wouldn't move crypto from Gemini to another wallet. So we wouldn't do a wallet to wallet transfer if that's something you're wanting to do, then you would need to liquidate that, sell your crypto, go to fiat, and then move those funds over to your back into your IRA with us, and then we'll send it back to the LLC bank account if that's a structure you want to do. So we mainly do that for security reasons, so because if you open that up, that that potentially could just gives you more risk factors for doing a type of wallet to wallet transfer, as people that are more experienced in crypto already know. So those are some of the cool things that you can do. It's you got to open the account, you got to get money into that account, and then you can be off trading. So did that help kind of give like a holistic view and kind of get into the nitty gritty too? Jeff,
Yeah,
what do
absolutely.
you like?
We have some questions here.
Yeah, question about your IRA for kids. Is there a max contribution to that, or what's the limitations on that? How does that operate?
Yeah, so it's $6,000 annually is what you can contribute to a kid's Roth IRA.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like me, I got 5 kids, so I could load up $6,000, each kid for those 5 accounts and get those. We don't have any minimums, but just do the math. If there's an annual fee of $295, right, and Gemini, has like 10 bips, and we have 1%, you kind of got to look at all the fees. If you're kind of the number cruncher of looking for ROI, then you're like, well, that may not make a ton of sense for me with that low balance of account. But my argument would be, well, aren't you just planning on holding it anyway for your child for many, many years and letting it grow? If you're a believer in the appreciation and further adoption of crypto, then, does it really matter? So to some people, they want to look into that. So I'll just, address it early on to take all into consideration. The other thing, that we see people do is with, these kids' Roth accounts is, we really just modeled it after seeing stuff like Fidelity. So we saw Fidelity had a kids Roth, and what do they put it in? A mutual fund, a type of ETF, or like maybe Tesla stock or something as an example. And they just kind of, keep it there and hold it. But the same limits on the annual contributions, whether it's with us or into, with an account like a traditional account like Fidelity, still only $6,000 a year. Now, when you're age 50 and over, you can do $7,000 a year for your annual, for new contributions, whether it's into a traditional or a Roth. And we have this cool kind of retirement account guide, Jeff, that we'd be happy to share with you, that goes over kind of the contribution limits, the qualifications, because you can't contribute straight into a Roth if you're making over a couple $100,000. You would have to make a contribution into a traditional account and then do a Roth conversion. Okay, so there is kind of a little hiccup there. When you do one of those like solo 401k plans or another type of plan called a SEP, you're getting upwards of almost $60,000 annual contribution. So it's much more than the 6,000. But they got to be legit businesses, right? Because you're taking 25%, of the S or C corp, or 20% if you're an LLC or a sole prop, up to that, that contribution limit. What other questions?
Is that so? If you're contributing yourself and for your kids, is that pre-tax, or how does that work?
A Roth would be.
Yeah, so you get a tax when it's traditional. You have you have a tax benefit, right? You have a tax deduction, but on a Roth there is no tax deduction. So you don't have the benefit of that, but you get it tax-free on the way out. Whereas on the traditional IRA, you're picking up a tax deduction for you, your child, et cetera, but you're going to pick up the tax on the way out. So it's like, would you rather pay tax on the seed or the gain? So that's, kind of the difference between the two. Again, if you qualify for that. The government's going to get their tax one way or the other. They're going to get it, whether you put it into traditional and then, on the way out, or you're not going to get a tax deduction if you contribute straight into the Roth day one.
With the Roth, you can take your initial deposit out without taxes, correct? It's any the earns or the gains you earned on that money that you put in would be taxed and
Correct.
After 59 and a half, either 59 and a half years old, or if older than 59 and a half, you need to have held the account for 5 years to not create a taxable event or any type of penalty for the distribution.
And you can always pull out your basis though, tax-free. I just want to point that out because a lot of people don't know that on the Roth. So whatever that you contributed, whatever your basis is, you can always take that out penalty-free before age 59 and a half, before 5 years. It doesn't matter. You can go get access to that. But on the gain, that's where it'd be subject to early withdrawal penalties, et cetera, if you decide to pull that out before age 59 and a half. That's how that works.
So if you, hypothetically, if you put in $100,000 and then down the road, you pull out $100,000, you're not taxed on it. But if you want to put that $100,000 back, can you do that or no? No. Okay.
No. Yeah, that's like, it's done. It's donezo.
Okay.
Oh,
Aaron,
yeah. My dad just did that, and I was so pissed.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me it. He took out some, and we did a conversion, and they had just a little bit of debt. I don't know. I think it was like they put a trip on a credit card or something, and he just pulled it out of his Roth and paid it. And I was like, oh, well, let's just get that back in there. So I'm like, you can't do that. It's done. Like
Can you borrow against your Roth? Like you can do in your 401k?
You cannot.
No.
No, the 401k is the only type of plan that you can borrow up to 50 grand on.
I got a question. A lot of us have wallets that we've had over the time. Now these IRAs are coming out. How would you go? Would you have to cash out your normal wallets and do the taxable thing to put it in an IRA or a Roth?
So we can accept. So you can't fund, and this is totally a bummer. You can't fund a retirement account with crypto. You can't make a new contribution into a retirement account with crypto at the moment.
Right.
That may change.
So
I don't know.
Right now, what we have in our wallets is pretty much in our wallets. This is starting from scratch, or a prior employer 401k that would apply to this, or starting brand new with a Roth.
Correct.
Or an LLC,
And
or the other strategy.
If you're wanting to use some of the funds that you've accumulated in your wallet personally in crypto, you would need to sell some of the crypto, go to fiat to make that contribution to fund that retirement account.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's a total bummer.
Hindsight,
You
we
know,
would
but-
this a year or two ago. But at least it's available now, so.
Yeah. Now we do accept crypto in kind when it's already in a retirement account. So but it has to already be in a retirement account, and we can move it from the current wallet to a wallet with us. There's a certain process and a lot of security measures. 2FA. We have security. We have fobs. Like there's a lot of stuff involved in order to do that, but we can do it if you have crypto in an existing retirement account, and want to move that over to us, we can do that. Now, we will not move it. We will not then, it's just a one-way street though. Again, unfortunately, we do that just as a business for our security policy that we have in place. We won't move crypto in kind off of our wallet to another wallet of yours. We require you to sell the crypto, go to fiat, and then move it off.
So a question, this may happen in the future, but say for instance, I know there's a few other custodial companies out there that got locked out, obviously through the litigation with the SEC, with Ripple. If something like that happens in the future with other, I would say, protocols or crypto tokens out there, how do you guys proceed with that? Is it still locked out, or what's the kind of procedure? From what I understand, they can't trade that within their custodial wallet while litigation's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I would just be speculating. I don't know. We would have to just cross that bridge when it goes. I will say though that our standpoint is we stay active in current legislation, litigation matters. We have people that wanted to move some of their crypto to these different lending strategies. Like Gemini has Earn. As an example, and we will do that, but we have some additional paperwork and things and acknowledgement that we made people sign off of. Because really, when you're lending out your crypto, it's in essence unsecured. That's what it says even in their terms and conditions and in their legal jargon, that they're lending to most the exchanges are lending out to like Genesis, right? And Genesis is deploying their various strategies in a lot of DeFi protocols, from what I can tell. But there's no security. They're saying it's unsecured, and you should know the risk, and they could lose it, et cetera. And so we just have you acknowledge that again, because a lot of people, it pops up on their little cell phone, right? And it's like 20 pages and no one reads it. Well, we've read it and we want everybody to know what's in there. And so we just have people acknowledge it again on something like that. But if there are other cryptos, back to your point, that, do come under certain scrutiny by the SEC, we'll, I don't know. Hopefully it may be the same situation where it's like frozen. It's just going to stay there, or maybe we'll be allowed to liquidate, or we can, help with that if it's in an institutional account of ours, a wallet of ours as custodian, to move it, liquidate it accordingly, to go to fiat. We'll try our best to do what would be in the best interest of what we can do and what our client's best interest is, for sure.
And those bigger exchanges, like with XRP, when that all started to go down, there were warnings on the larger exchanges, like on Coinbase, on Binance. They did say, look, we are going to be taking this off the exchange. This is going to be removed. So I think that, again, I can't say 100%. I would just follow what's happening with the SEC and IRS. But normally you would get some type of warning that something is going to be removed on a lot of the exchanges. Most of them do give you up to 90 days, again, depending on what the rules of those exchanges are. And one other thing to add to Aaron's point about, where I can just say, for me personally, again, not investment advice, I have 2 Gemini accounts. I have a Gemini, the crypto Roth IRA, and then I just have a personal crypto IRA. And I do Gemini Earn on my regular crypto IRA. If I wanted to do that in the Roth, I would go. Everything is via forms, because you tell us what to do. That would be this transfer request to or from Gemini, and that's what Aaron was talking about. Where that warning is there.
Yeah, and Recently, I just did it. I just took some of my, I'm a personal believer in decentralized finance, and I just moved a certain chunk of my liquidity and just put it into an earned product to get 12% yield on it, because it's like that's pretty hard to do. Like anything between 8 to 12%, you're saying basically I'm going to do better than the S&P 500 in stocks. So what do people typically do? Well, they put it in real estate typically, or they're lending it that has secured collateral such as real estate, or they're investing in private companies, startups, other small businesses, etc. So, various investment types. So it's easier said than done, but crypto's, and just opens up a whole lot of other things to get creative, as y'all are all much more advanced than I am, and but I think it's pretty exciting. I think it's exciting too what you can do with retirement accounts, and kind of have a small chunk of that too that will be tax sheltered. Again, we're limited in various things we can do with it, and it takes a little bit longer to do certain strategies, but it can still be done for people that definitely want to get an edge and early adopt, if you will. I think it's pretty awesome.
So how does the fee structure work? Obviously, I see your sign up fee. What was it, $295? And then is it scheduled to like a 12E1 fees? I mean, how do you guys earn revenue based off the portfolio that you manage or custodial?
Yeah, so we're a little different. So we're what's considered a passive custodian. So we don't have assets under management. We have assets under custody. So we don't make money off of your money. We don't lend it out. We don't get money when other advisors or people bring deals on our platform and an IRA invests in it. We don't get paid that way. We're strictly a passive custodian. We are a regulated trust company. Only banks, credit unions, trust companies, and certain IRS-approved custodians, as listed on the IRS website, and those are really like the big brokerage houses like Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, can service as custodian for retirement accounts. And we're a trust company, and so the way trust companies works, same type of liquidity, audits, licensing, bonding that a bank and credit union does, but we have a state charter, okay? But that state charter allows us to do business in all states in the United States. Our state trust charter is in Arizona. So the Arizona Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions, you can go on their website, look us up, you'll see our trust license. We also put it on our website. Our trust license number is everywhere. And so, we have an annual audit by the Banking Department of Arizona every year. And so the way, and the reason I'm telling you all these things, because these are important requirements, because there's other companies out there in the space, okay? And I won't go into their names, but there's a couple of them. They're not trust companies. They've built an exchange, their own, type of exchange, and they use a trust company like ours, okay, as custodian of the retirement account. Well, to me, why would you go through an intermediate? You're going through another person. But I sent my funds to you, and then now you got to go work with the custodian to be, custody my IRA. There's been a lot of instances where, those are what are called third-party administrators. And they've gone into receivership where people ran off with the retirement funds because you're sending it to their bank account, and they're not licensed. They're not regulated. They're not a trust company. They have to, contract with one like us. And so, we're that. But going back to our fee structure, because we're a passive custodian, we don't give investment advice. We don't have assets under management. It's just assets under custody. We're strictly a recurring revenue business. So like Netflix, you got to pay us. We rely on having thousands, tens of thousands of clients, that pay us an annual fee every year, and that's how we make business. We do have some competitors that have gotten rid of their recurring fee and charge a trade fee. We're not going to do that because we feel that there's going to be a race to the bottom or trade fees, just like in traditional. Like look at what Robinhood did, and then TD and everybody followed suit. So it's like they get payment for order flow, right? We feel that similar stuff will happen, in the crypto space. So we're going to look at our fee structure as well, and we'll probably have a quicker race to the bottom than some of our competitors because they got rid of their recurring fee, and that means they have to keep their trade fee. Whereas we're going to keep our recurring fee and continue to tighten up, and reduce our trade fees. So we have a $295 flat annual fee, regardless if you have 1 million or 1,000, doesn't matter. That's simply it. And then that Gemini trading fee is different. We're going to be updating our forms. When we launched this a year ago, that's what it is on, just standard trading fee for active trader with Gemini. But we have higher volume. It's transparent. You can see the volume. The more volume you do, the lower the fees are. So right now it's 10 bips. So 0.10 is what Gemini charges, and we have a 1% trade fee as well, buying and selling. So essentially you're paying 1.1 per trade, and then $295 a year. And those are our fees. That's it.
Question.
We have FDIC insurance for cash, so we have pass-through FDIC insurance for any, but most people aren't sitting in cash. They go and do an investment or send it straight to Gemini to trade, or your LLC bank account to trade. But if you do, then it's just sitting, like at Wells Fargo, or I know that's a curse word. I know it's like dropping the F-bomb in the crypto world, but we still have to have traditional banking partners for our cash that's passed through FDIC insurance of $200, just same as your traditional bank account.
The annual account fee of $295, would that apply to every account that I have with you guys? If I have an HSA and a Roth and a traditional, does the 300
Yes.
cover all of those, or are those individual fees?
Yeah, great question. It's $295 per account for each account. So if you have 5 accounts, it's $295 times 5.
And are you guys strictly have an agreement with Gemini? That's the only exchange you guys work with? Or are they the ones that I guess hold your wallet, or how does your wallet work?
Yeah, so we have an institutional wallet with Gemini, and you can read about their cold storage and what they do for institutional accounts and stuff. And we have 2FA for our admins internally, because obviously we have to move funds around and accordingly. And we have security fobs too that are in office. So we have a lot of measures in place for that. But yeah, we have an institutional wallet, and right now for the type of our crypto IRA product, yes, it is with Gemini. We're looking at some other relationships to serve more like altcoin in the DeFi space. And again, if you don't want to do the crypto IRA, you can just do a self-directed IRA with us and go do your own checkbook, IRA LLC, or a solo 401k. But you still have to have an IRA in order to do either of those two types of institutional type of accounts. You still have to have an IRA because that's what's funding, that institutional account, like the checkbook IRA LLC or the solo 401k.
Aaron, it could be good for you to explain just a little bit of the process of the timeline for having that LLC structure, and then just around how that works then, so that they can use any exchange.
Yeah, so again, I went over it kind of at a high level. But, you know, opening the IRA is super easy. That's going to be done in like 1 to 2 business days max. By the time we get your account, like if you do it right now, we'll have your account open tomorrow. Okay. That middle piece is then you got to get money into that retirement account, and you're going to do that one of 3 ways. You know, you're going to do a new contribution. You're going to either do it through an old employer plan. What sucks about the old employer plan is while that's typically where the most money is at because that was your old employer, they want to send a check. Like you'd think they would like want to wire us the funds, but they don't. Or ACHs. They want to like mail us a physical check. So you have to contact that old employer and get their rollover paperwork is what it's called. So you got to contact the plan administrator, and you're going to have a form to fill out with them, and they're going to mail us a check. When they finally mail us a check, then it takes up to 5 business days to clear, just like a check always would. So that could take like 2 to 4 weeks, and it's not really up to us. It's up to that old employer plan administrator to process your request and mail us the check, and then you got to wait about a week for the funds to clear. And then after that, once we have the funds, we send those straight to your account. If you did a crypto IRA with Gemini, you know, typically like y'all have all set up personal accounts through the exchanges. It's typically same day that you get approved for that. You have to go, you know, you get an invitation from Gemini on behalf of Directed IRA to go set up an account that'll be a retirement account. And it's the same KYC onboarding that you would have with, you know, a personal account. You know, they want you to upload a driver's license. What you're not doing is linking a bank account or any type of funding stuff to do that. You're just putting in your personal information, verifying you are who you say you are, putting up your, you know, your IDs. So that's how that works. And, you know, so it could take like a few weeks up to a month. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got people on Teams phone. Yeah. Let me mute that. So the other part is if you have a current IRA at another custodian like Fidelity or TD, or you have a brokerage account that is a retirement account, that would be called a transfer. And that you can wire. Yay! So if you have like a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA over at TD Ameritrade, you're literally going to fill out a transfer form with us, and we'll send it over to TD Ameritrade. The only bummer on that is you got a wedding sign that thing because they won't accept it without a wedding signature because of fraud. And so you sign that bad boy, we send it over to TD, and then they'll wire us the funds in like 1 to 2 business days. Pretty awesome. So that is quick if you have an IRA at another custodian or brokerage. It's the old employer plan that they want you to do. You would check. Now you may say, hey, but wait a minute, my old employer plan is with TD Ameritrade. Not the same thing. They're using TD, you know, as the institution that they're doing the trading with. But the 401k is held by a plan administrator that is not TD Ameritrade. They're just using TD Ameritrade's platform. So a lot of people get those two mixed up. They're separate. Now, if you do the IRA LLC, that checkbook IRA LLC, or if you do the solo 401k, that's going to take about a month to set that plan, that type of plan and structure up, because you got to create an LLC. You got to open up a bank account. If it's a solo 401k, you got to set up the solo K and adopt a plan. You typically, you can do those with us, but you don't have to. We have a law firm. So our 2 co-founders of our trust company have a law firm called KKOS Lawyers, been around for almost 20 years. And they will set up the IRA LLC or the solo 401k. You know, those take, you know, if you really want to hustle and be on it, can be done in a couple weeks, but I always tell people plan on about 30 days to do those type of plans, just setting expectations. Again, you may be an overachiever and be on it and get everything, but things happen, life happens, or you decide you want to change a name, or you made a mistake on how you're going to fund it, or, the amount you're going to fund it, things change. So totally get that. Now you may say, hey, I got an LLC. I just want to use that one. Nuh-uh. You can't use the current LLC, an old one, or do a new one yourself. It has to be set up by a law firm or somebody, a doc prep company that understands how to create the operating agreement and the LLC structure that will accept a retirement account. You can see there that Joanna pulled up on the screen the operating agreement. It outlines what's required in that operating agreement, and you're not going to go pull that form off of Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom or an old LLC. You can't do that. Can't modify it. It can't be an old one. It has to be a new LLC created. Now you could have a solo 401k, and that could work. A lot of people have a solo 401k, let's say Fidelity or TD, but you're going to have to restate it with us. So there's still some work to do. So a little bit less work to do, but a lot of people have a solo 401k, with the brokerage. You can totally do that, but you're going to have to restate the plan, and there's some steps involved there. But that's kind of the timeline. So it could be as fast as a week if you got an IRA at TD Ameritrade, or if you're making a new contribution, right? Because you do a new contribution, you just do that via ACH with your current bank account. So those two, a week and a half max, and you could be trading with your crypto IRA, directed IRA, and Gemini as the exchange. If you want to do the checkbook IRA LLC or the solo 401k, 1 to 2 months. And then you got a couple months of getting approved with an exchange, with the crypto exchange. So 4 to 6 months.
The good thing is, I think the positive side to it, yes, it takes time to set up, but if you are someone within crypto, or not just crypto, you're maybe wanting to do crypto and real estate and precious metals, or will go into a startup, there's a lot of opportunities there. But from the crypto standpoint, then you can do the DeFi, for example, if you're setting up a mining business and you want to run a node, all of that can be done through, you have a lot of freedom within that LLC structure to connect to centralized exchanges as well.
Question. I have a question. So I know in the past, some brokerage houses would delay trading for trust companies or accounts in trust. Is that still true with the crypto with Gemini? I'm not really familiar with that on that side. Just a question. As far as like they were delayed by timing on their trading platforms. You familiar with that?
No.
It's been a couple of years ago, but
I mean, I haven't had any issues on both my Gemini accounts. I have the crypto Roth and the a Gemini account. I have not had one issue.
Okay, so there's
no
delays.
We have no delays. You have no delays because the funds are already there. I think probably you're saying it was with Intrust?
No, it was years ago with Scott Trade.
Oh,
they had a delay for trust accounts, so I didn't know that was still.
Yeah, no, there's no delay. The delay would be the institutional account that you're trying to get approved with the exchanges.
Yeah.
So like the delay is you're going to see is from Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, whatever. They're gonna they all have an application, but it's up to their discretion to approve it and when they approve it, or if there's additional information that they want from you to verify it. So again, it's just all over the place. I've had some people luck out and they're like, I got it done, and it only took like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, that's amazing. And I've had others, they're like, literally 6 months later, I finally got approved. So typically what they do, what I've seen, is they'll just go do institutional accounts on a handful of exchanges just to get it going. Yes, and just, it'll take several hours for you to do, but they're like, they just want to get going, and you never know who's going to be first to the party, so you can get live.
Question is, how is Gemini handling, if there is any type of hacks that happen or funds stolen from an IRA account? Is that something that they're reimbursing, or is it kind of your SOL?
Sure. Yeah. So, you're obviously referring to the incident of 36 million from another trust company. Well, one, we get notified on anything if it's Gemini related. And, we were even had a call with, the various heads of security looking at our protocols when that happened, which they already know, but they just did do a review with us. And, we try and do nothing that is outside of scope other than what we need to in order to create an account, with Gemini. And so if something happened, it would be the same course of action of your personal account. If Gemini is at fault, even if the same rules would apply for if it was IRA funds. To them, it's one and the same. If they're at fault, and they're the ones responsible. The whole issue with this other deal was not Gemini. It was the institution. It was the trust company. They did some things, and it's very public of what they did. And we just don't do that. That's why we don't move off of our wallet. We don't move funds. Other people don't have access to that. Like, we don't do it. We don't have all these different API keys running in order to do automation of, creating your account. Like, we don't do any of that. It's a very manual process, so we have oversight for it. So.
Yeah. So also with this, like where you see here the crypto Roth IRA, which is like what Aaron said, when you're doing the LLC structure, you have a lot of freedom. It just takes longer to set up. This process here, where you're funding via directed IRA, and you have your account here with Gemini on Gemini Active Trader, happens within 7 days, sometimes within a couple of days. But what's really important with this as well, just to understand, and I know Aaron explained this before, but just to go over it briefly again, is when you log into your crypto Roth IRA on Gemini, that you're going to see at the top, it'll say Directed Trust Company, FBO, which is abbreviation for the benefit of, and then your name. So you have it's a sub account, right? Because we act as your passive custodian. Everything that you want to do in your account, besides once your funds are in there and you're trading, you're self-directing. So you're always going to go here and use forms. You're always going to be telling us what you want us to do because you are in control. So that's an important distinction. And again, another reason why we picked Gemini as well is because you are insured. My understanding, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, is you are insured up to $250,000.
Well, it's fiat is insured.
Yeah.
Fiat's insured. Any cash, so we just have pass through.
So the hack you mentioned was not with Gemini; it was more of the TPA that was handling that.
Well, they're actually a trust company too, licensed trust company. I mean, Gemini I'm just stating what they published, what Gemini stated, and they stated that there was no hack, they were not breached, it was anything that they did. It was different things and different ways of doing business of the IRA company. So the argument, though, is very public of, well, didn't Gemini notice suspicious activity or, any of this? And, we'll see how it all unfolds. But bottom line is we do not have that. It is a similar structure in nature, but very different security protocols on our part and what we permit and don't permit. it's all public, you know, so again, there's a reason why we have a strong stance on not moving, you know, from wallet to wallet or allowing you to move, you know, your wallet to another wallet off Gemini exchange. We don't allow that because we would have no way of tracking to see who did what, why you did it, who now has it. Maybe you did a prohibited transaction, which then would distribute your retirement account.
Is that me? We hung up on him, I guess.
What do you need, a power plug?
All right, it's 11:30 anyways.
It was in the middle of it, trying to Gemini hack too. Oh, yeah, exactly. Gonna disclose information.
We got hacked.
Meetings.
It was like earlier. I don't know what happened.
When you do a prohibited transaction, you know, you can get your whole retirement account distributed. And then you get a 1099, you gotta pay the tax on it. So we don't want that to happen.
I think it's maybe that.
So we have to be able to track certain things. Now, when you do that IRA LLC structure as solo K, there's this little thing called a fair market valuation, okay? Here. And you send us that form, and you tell us what you've invested in, what the, you know, current valuation of it is, if you need to get a third party opinion on the valuation. You know,
We're in crypto delay.
or you
If you'll do it, the money that pocketbooks, gold and silver, reality is like red money currency picture.
you know, I select activity. So we need to verify.
You're exactly right.
So, yeah, John's pulling it up there.
Well, the police rating is like a good like option that I feel like the wealth. I'm talking about people that have like
Did you most of it?
Yeah, the stuff that's.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, I don't think we have any other questions here. I know we're pretty close to the hour. If there is any way we can get a hold of you guys, I guess we just contact, go to Self Directed IRA.
I'm always like this. I usually have sweaters and stuff. I'm so down. I'm down so far away, man. It makes no sense. Oh,
you just hide your power levels until today.
It just sounds like sounds like back when I was in high school, man. I told that story a million times. I was so skinny. Started lifting weights. Always wore like long sleeve shirts and all that stuff. Girls are like, man, I didn't know you had it like that. I'm like, you know what? And I told her that was the key. I said, you know what? You don't encourage yourself.
We typically don't do promotions because we're already so
They never see you. They won't see it. So you just have to stay on top of saying, I know I'm making
like
days. I know I'm
$25 or
making
$50
days.
here and there.
And these
It's our
guys
best
here are
promo
like
of the year. It's
densely
called March
personified, man.
I'm starting to, yeah, I'm cutting weight. Now I'm getting down to like 210. I'm sorry,
So it's March 100, and it'll take $100 off your first year annually. So rather than $295, it'll be
Like
$195.
offensive linemen.
That's what I'm saying, man. I've been perfect offensive. I'm already offensive as hell, you know?
Just put March 100. That's it. That's all.
Yes, sounds great. Yeah, we appreciate your time, and then I'll definitely send folks to you guys for any crypto IRAs.
We're gonna
Thanks,
do a
Jeff.
class on it.
Appreciate everyone. You guys are awesome, guys and
Installed
gals.
onto it.
We look forward to
Pretty
loving
much
you, Directed IRA,
If you're
and
worried about Google spying on
get
you,
some crypto in those retirement accounts. baby.
operating system. It's much better.
Sounds good. Take care, folks.
So your Pixel 6, and that's under what service? Your service providers?
T-Mobile right now.
Your T-Mobile.
The reason I like T-Mobile is because after a certain period of
Look
time,
how
you actually
scared
pay
it
off your phone. It
Probably
unlocks the phone. So you can use any SIM card. you want.
30 minutes.
It's like 9
Leave it in there.
Everyone's like, I don't know,
So
trade-
it's
Verizon
recorded on
was
here
back
too,
today,
on
they used to have it
cloud.
on Zoom.
That's
That's
easier for you.
It's already live. It's already on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, it's already on there. We were live.
Okay.
So it's all set.
So now I'm like a piece of technology here, a little Google voice here, now it's like,
Something, man, just.
I'd rather have that